This is NAB Show Live.
What is the status of cloud technology today? What can we do and what can we still not do? Alex?
So certainly Wassabi Technologies is a public cloud storage provider. So we have a lot of experience in working with customers on migration to the cloud. And by a lot of our estimates, about 20% of the customer base, particularly in the media and entertainment segment, has moved to embrace the cloud in one form or another. So certainly we've seen a lot of progression and movement and adoption of the cloud in the past couple of years, and certainly there's been some changes on the economics side of things that make that even more possible. And I think certainly some of the technology that Alex's team has delivered to the market has also been responsible for that migration as well.
All right, Alex.
Yeah, and I believe that the cloud has gone through, like you said, a transition in this vertical. The cloud, first of all, is not something that is homogeneous. It's a set of services, and it's compute, storage, AI, cognitive services, a lot of things that are valuable for this industry. But this industry has been traditionally very focused on performance, and
yes.
It's still very focused on performance because of the, all the great new technologies that emerge. And originally, the cloud was not very suitable because of its performance requirements, and that's, I believe, one of the reasons why this industry has been considered relatively conservative on its adoption to the cloud.
Absolutely.
But this is changing. Right now, the cloud is becoming more and more accessible, both from an economics and performance standpoint, and we're seeing more and more people wanting to move some part of their production, whether it be storage, compute, rendering, etc., to the cloud, and that's clearly a process that we can see.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really important point, is that media and entertainment is a very conservative industry. They talk about the studios turning like an ocean liner, that it takes a long time to turn towards anything new because the big emphasis is on performance.
Yes, it's true, but this is not just because of their business, but it's because of the technical requirements. That setting up a high-performing production environment takes a lot of effort, and a lot of people are really responsible, and they don't want to take the chances of introducing new technologies unless they really believe that this is something that would bring value. And the cloud has proven recently that it actually brings value, and that's why we see this turning point.
Well, to that point, Bob, maybe you can shed some light on this, because it sounds like you're worldwide, you're going around the world, talking to people about cloud technologies. What kind of feedback are you getting, and how has that changed over the years?
Sure, so Tiger, being more of a high performance, or traditionally a high performance storage, data management type company, we've seen that shift, media industry and other industries alike, media is starting to look at the cloud and the cost of cloud and the performance of cloud being more and more attractive, being able to do disaster recovery, the resiliency of cloud beyond the managing machines and all of the disks required on-prem and all the maintenance that comes along with that. Those added costs, the cloud is really addressing some of those issues, being able to optimize your administrative staff. But there was original shift was the thought that everything needed to go to the cloud, and everybody thought it was cloud or nothing. But now we're seeing this hybrid approach, and Tiger having both, started at on-prem, being able to handle low latency, high performance, but having data management and our newest product, the Bridge, being able to sort of blend that on-prem and the cloud, giving customers the ability to have a bit of both and benefit from the performance and the cost of cloud, as well as being able to do the applications that require the low latency and the content, the creativity needed on-prem.
Well, I know that this hybrid model has been popular for a while, so it's interesting to hear that people are still kind of following that model. Let's dig a little more deeply into your companies. Can you tell me, Alex, a bit more about Tiger Technology? When were you founded? How has the company evolved over the years?
Oh, well, we started, and we have been in this vertical for 15 years now, and we as a company have started, and we're still serving our customers by providing shared storage solutions. With low, very high performance, low latency, something that is similar and used in thousands of facilities across the world for post-production, color correction, some broadcasting. So that's what we have been doing for all these years. Of course, now with the cloud entering the stage, so to say, more and more effectively, we actually decided to take the approach of producing a hybrid shared storage workflow, which introduces the cloud as a native part of your on-prem workflow, because we still can clearly see that the majority of the work in this industry is done on-prem for a variety of reasons. Although there is some shift to the cloud, but it's still in the very early stages. So,
yes.
So our goal is to facilitate this move and allow people to take advantage of the cloud benefits. That includes different tiers of storage, that includes effective compute, that includes AI services, cognitive services, so all these things that people are looking to use in the cloud. We want to make sure that the transition from the on-prem storage workflows to the cloud is very native and does not require the facilities to change their daily routine.
And when did you start embracing the cloud solution as part of a hybrid?
Yeah, we started doing, we use technology that we have developed for many years, but more focused, we started doing it for the last 2 years. And we can clearly see a lot of things changing over these 2 years in this industry.
So I'm interested, was it a learning curve for you to adopt?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's learning curve for us, it's learning curve for our customers.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of effort talking with customers, getting their feedback, trying to see where their resilience towards moving to the cloud comes from and how we can address that. We have adjusted our products so they can feel comfortable, and I think that we're there, and we have a lot of customers that actually.
Well, that's great. Can you tell me, I mean, you are in the media and entertainment space. Are there any customers or success stories you can talk about in helping people move to the cloud?
Yeah, we clearly say, for example, we had a recent installation, I'm from Europe, in Hungary, about moving their entire video archive, that they digitize on-prem, but they want to move it and store it to the cloud, where it's more convenient to be capable for streaming for public customers. This is one thing that we did recently, and it's been a very good story.
Great, thank you very much. Well, Jim, why don't you tell us a little bit about Wassabi?
Sure. So Wassabi Technologies is focused on cloud object storage. So this is a type of storage that's very suitable for the media and entertainment segment. We've been offering our service for over 2 years. We have over 6,500 paying customers at this point, including many in the media and entertainment segment. We have a specific focus on delivering price, performance, and protection advantages over some of the offerings from Amazon Web Services. One of the things that we've observed in the market is that the move, and particularly in the media and entertainment segment, to adopt public cloud storage maybe hasn't moved along as fast as many would like, mainly because the economics were not that attractive. But when you look at the fact that we're able to deliver cloud storage at 80% less than the Amazon equivalent, that becomes a game changer for many customers in media and entertainment. So what we're seeing is taking place, particularly when it comes to moving from tape. So a lot of the media and entertainment assets are stored on tape. And tape is a great low-cost way of retaining that asset, but it makes it very hard to access it. So if you ever need to go back and look at content you produced 5 or 10 years ago, it's very cumbersome to do that with tape. So we see a lot of trend towards de-archiving of tape vaults and then bringing them to public cloud. I think the technology that Alex's company brings to the table plays an important role in that, because we are just cloud storage and we rely on a deep network of partners to help with the migration of all this trapped premises data to the cloud.
I mean, that sounds, I've worked in the tape world before, and the idea of taking an entire tape-based vault and moving it to the cloud sounds daunting. How do people do it?
I mean, it's certainly, we do our part in providing very low cost, high performance, highly protected cloud storage, but this is where the role of Alex and Bob's company comes into play, because the proper conversion of tape to a format that's suitable for the cloud does require some specialized technology and expertise, and we're fortunate to have partners like Tiger Technology to help deliver on that mission.
Well, I do want to get to that, but first I have to ask you one other question, which is how are you able to bring costs down 80%? That's a very big figure.
It is a big a mission for us, and certainly it's a part of our strategy is to really commoditize cloud storage, and that will make it more available to the masses. We've done some very interesting things with regard to designing our own file system. Our engineers have been working on cloud storage for over 15 years, back to a company called Carbonite, which is really cloud storage 1.0, is kind of focused more on the consumer market. And just as Alex's team has learned a lot in their many years of experience in media and entertainment, we've learned a lot about how to optimize the usage of disk resources so that we're able to get almost 99% utilization out of a disk drive. And it's a combination of a number of things we're doing in our software, and our hardware selection really allows us to optimize around cost, yet we're also able to deliver up to 6 times faster write speeds relative to some of the big 3 hyperscalers. So it's a very novel design. We had the benefit of starting a couple years ago with a clean sheet of paper, as opposed to trying to adapt some legacy environment to the cloud. So in many ways you can say we were born in the cloud, and that gives us a competitive advantage.
You're a cloud native.
Indeed.
I love that.
Indeed.
So how did you two companies find each other?
I'll take that one.
Okay.
So a lot like Jim said, Tiger has sort of come along the same path, and that early on when we developed our software to transition from or migrate data from on-prem to the cloud, we had made a decision on how to develop the Bridge product. So it's a lot about the technology and matching performance to Wassabi and the performance that they can provide in the cloud. So we decided early on, since we started in a file system with an NTFS underlying layer, that instead of developing a product that sits external and then looks into the file system and looks for changes in data and then makes the decision what to do with it, we actually decided to take advantage of all the work that we've done and the drivers that work directly in the NTFS file system, and we developed an HSM engine that talks directly to those drivers. So effectively what that allowed us to do is take an NTFS file system and expend the namespace directly to the cloud. So ultimately what I deliver to the customer, I make Wassabi look like a natural native extension of the local file system.
So is Wassabi the interface then? If I'm a customer, are you guys kind of the invisible part of it, and I interact with the Wassabi interface?
No, it's probably actually the alternative, because
okay.
object storage by itself, unless you're using a modern media asset management platform that has a native cloud interface, but that represents a small minority of the infrastructure that's out there. The majority of the infrastructure plumbs into Alex and Bob's Tiger Technology Bridge, and it's the bridge that provides that critically important conversion function to go from file system environments, which represents the majority of the deployments today, to object storage format, where we represent kind of the new world.
All right, Alex, you're...
Yes, the goal, the goal obviously is for all of us to be invisible. You know, like I said, the goal is at the end of the day, the users to not have to change their workflow and daily routine. They need to work with the storage the way they have been working the day before, but just with the fact that now the cloud becomes a native extension and they can use the resources that the cloud brings. And the cloud brings resilience, it brings scalability, all things that are really important for growing your data. And growing your data means growing your business here.
So in other words, you're extending past storage to other capabilities. Is that the basic story?
The on-prem storage, it's no longer your limiting factor. So effectively the cloud becomes a native extension of the on-prem storage.
So if you're trying to sell me on this fabulous synergies between your two companies, what are the kinds of things I could do?
The nice thing about Tiger and the whole abstraction of the cloud from the local storage and the application, and some of the apprehension for companies and users to go to the cloud, is how do I really interface with it? What do I have to do with my applications? What do I have to do? Do I have to change my workflow? What we've done as Tiger is abstract all of that underneath, so applications don't have to change at all. We don't actually dictate a change in a workflow and put watch folders and have to move data into a watch folder to move it to the cloud. The user actually tells Bridge or configures Bridge, to say, monitor these local data structures in place where they exist today. So we become transparent and visible to the users. So any user that doesn't know how to talk to Wassabi or other cloud technology can instantaneous today install Bridge and connect Wassabi transparently.
That sounds like an ideal situation because the end user wants that kind of seamless workflow.
That's right. They want to take advantage of the economics and the performance of the cloud, but many users don't want to make a big investment in changing out their existing workflows and infrastructure. So the Tiger platform provides a critical role in solving that problem. So if you're a broadcaster and you don't have to make a ton of investment in changing out workflows and new infrastructure as a means of leveraging the power of the cloud.
Right, so that means as an end user, I don't really see anything different.
Yeah, and it's not only the user, it's also the application vendors, because you as a user, you're using a set of applications to do your work. And the problem is that those applications that are used in this industry, they have tens of years of background and refinement and everything. And making a dramatic change as replacing a hierarchical storage, which is what an on-prem file system actually is, with unstructured storage, what an object storage is. It's a big change for the application vendors, and it's not easy, and there is a lot of effort and resilience towards changing those. Of course, there are a set of applications that are born in the cloud, so to say. They natively start with the cloud concepts, but they are very tiny minority of the tools that are being used on a day-to-day basis. So that we believe that we are fitting into solving the problem of not having nor their users change their workflow, nor the application vendors having to redo their applications with all the risks associated with that.
Interesting. So now, are you creating a new product together, or are you merely integrating your services? What does it look like as a partnership?
Integrating the services together. So the value of Wassabi with the cost optimized performance model is really a good match for what Tiger has done, being able to take the native workflow at full performance and be able to drive what Wassabi delivers without having an extra hop in between.
So is this a done deal? Is this a shipping product, so to speak?
I have the fortunate benefit of working with Alex's team for almost 2 years at this point. So we've had many successful deployments in the field, and the synergies and the value of what the Tiger Technologies Bridge platform provides, mated with the value that Wassabi provides, is a very powerful combination, and we're excited to...
Shipping products, so there are deployments, so we work together on the field with customers, so it's a good synergy.
Well, having deployed for 2 years, I'm sure there's been an interesting learning curve. What have the lessons been from your deployments of the last 2 years? What have you learned from them?
Well, like I said, over these 2 years, we have been doing a lot of installations and working with customers, and we learned our way about what the customer expects. So we learned how to bypass this original obstruction of people saying cloud, and people, like I said, whether it's because of the pricing or the infrastructure, there is a lot of challenges for people to embrace the cloud. And we learned how to explain to these people what are the benefits, how to guide them through the process of trying it to adopting it. So that's the big thing.
And I think there's always certain lesson learned to convey to our mutual customers. So for example, if the end customer has never worked with a cloud at all before, compute or storage, then you often have to educate them on the proper networking best practices, proper security best practices. So these are not necessarily technology barriers, but they're more educational steps that we need to take place to make sure the customer is successful, especially if they've never done anything with cloud before.
Yeah.
Well, and you bring up security, and that is certainly a question you hear a lot of people talking about, security in the cloud. Do you hear that also, Bob, in your travels? What is the answer if somebody says, oh, I'm afraid of the security of my assets?
I found a lot of people are confusing public cloud with public access. I mean, they feel that if they store something in a public service, that means that everyone has access, which obviously is not true. And that has gone a long way of explaining to people that their data is probably much better protected from a security perspective in the cloud compared to in their facility, which
to a physical asset.
which is difficult to grasp for a lot.
But I think it's a little hard, in these days when huge amounts of personal data are being lifted from other public technological entities. It's hard to make that case, I think.
Yeah, I understand, but at the same time, these things happening lead to the fact that there is a huge investment being made, and I'm pretty sure Wassabi is making a lot of.
Absolutely. In terms of, perhaps 5 years ago, you didn't have the same degree of protection and authentication mechanisms as you do today, but everything from the transport of the data is encrypted. There's a concept of encryption at rest, so basically when you send the data to the cloud storage, it's encrypted on disk. There's capabilities in the platforms themselves, so you can encrypt the data before you even put it on the wire. So you have a wide range of choices to make in terms of how you secure your data. And this comes down to the education part of it. So many times when we talk to the chief security officers in these organizations, that they're already embracing cloud services for other purposes. And it's a matter of educating them how they apply those security best practices and defense in depth models to the media and entertainment segment.
Well, it sounds like education, all three of you spend a certain amount of time educating the client. Have you come up with ways to do that will, are powerful? I mean, it sounds like with all the conversations you've had that you could write a textbook.
Well, the nice thing is, what we find is every customer has a unique requirement, a unique data set, a neat way they store their data and their structures, and what they really want out of cloud, and trying to identify which data sets are ideal to go to the cloud versus needing to keep them on-prem, or long-term preservation, data protection, replication, all those models. It's a process where you have to have a conversation with each and every customer, go through a full requirement, and then understand which pieces that will apply to their use case, and then being flexible so that I fit right in with their workflow today without dictating requirements. Also makes it a lot easier to approach them and make cloud approachable for them.
Well, it sounds like eventually we'll get over that hump and people will accept the cloud as just something normal that they do. Do you see that in the near future?
Absolutely. It's occurring every day in terms of if you talk to every single person walking this floor as an end user, and they're either done something with cloud or they plan to do it in the very near future.
Is that also your experience?
Absolutely. I can clearly see that every day, the adoption of the cloud increases, and I believe we are very close to the critical point in which everyone would have to use some cloud storage. I mean, still there are some people
because the economics are there, the performance is there, the data protection is there, so there's no longer any technical or business barriers to moving forward with adoption of the cloud.
So what are the next step for, now that you've integrated this, you've proved it, you have lots of proof of concept out there, is there a next step you're thinking of that you can reveal?
Oh, I mean, as I said, we are part of this process. We believe that in the next, let's say, the near future, we will be doing what we're doing today. Like I said, there's a lot of education or effort involved working with our customers. So I think that there is nothing significant change that is down there. We believe that we brought to the market, in James and the object storage and the economics behind that, the workflow that allows its transparent use, and it just needs to make sure that a lot of people here are adopting this approach.
I think one other thing to kind of comment on is that it's our obligation as infrastructure vendors to make it easier for our customers to consume this wonderful technology we've delivered to the market. And one of the things we've recently done is developed an alliance called the Media Innovation Cloud Alliance. Because one of the challenges is, like, how does an end user take advantage of the technology that Tiger technology provides, that Wassabi technology provides, that all these other interesting cloud companies provide. So, you can go to an Amazon Web Services or a Microsoft Azure or GCP, and you can get some moderately capable functions within that family of services. But the Media Innovation Cloud Alliance is really about bringing together best-of-breed independent vendors and then making it as part of a solution so that if you need transcoding, if you need the bridge functionality, if you need content delivery network, we make it easier for you to consume that, so you, as an end user, can just pick these validated best-of-breed vendors and know that it's all going to work together. So it's about making it easier to consume the technology that Alex's company provides and my company provides.
Well, it's interesting because I think it's true. The media sees itself as a unique industry because it is a unique industry. So it would make sense that an alliance would bring it all into one public marketplace.
Absolutely.
So do you see in the future, are we going to still have these hybrid solutions, or do you think people are going to at some point be entirely in the cloud?
I don't think this is anytime near. I mean, hybrid is here to stay because this industry, like other industry, but this in particular, there is a lot of data that is actually produced and have to be processed on the edge.
Right.
I mean, you can't shoot directly in the cloud. I mean, it's like.
So it will always be some version of a hybrid.
That's my belief.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the foreseeable future, because as Alex alludes to, that there may be local processing requirements that are needed, and until the world is interconnected with 100 gigabit per second connectivity, just the speed that needs to be delivered to make this happen. So, and then plus you have a lot of investment in some of these premises platforms, and it may take 5 years to kind of wind down that investment and embrace cloud at a larger scale.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of town, but I suggest that we get together same place, same time next year, and talk about the latest in the cloud then.
Right.
Certainly to be different. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Debra.
Thank you.
You've been listening to NAB Show Live at NAB 2019, brought to you by Broadcast Beat. Thank you so much. We'll be away for a few seconds and come back with another very interesting panel. Thank you. All right.